So setting the tone, the Senate Republicans put together a digital ad, a mock vacation ad. Here we go.
Welcome to El Salvador, home to breathtaking sunsets, world-class surf breaks, and gangbanger Kilmer Abrego Garcia. El Salvador is the destination for Democrats seeking the thrill of bringing violent criminal illegal aliens back to America. Come witness Trump derangement syndrome in its purest form. From Chris Van Hollen to Cory Booker. You may even see John Ossoff. So what are you waiting for, Senate Democrats? Join your colleagues and step into the rhythm of rescue today.
So that's kind of the overall theme they're going to go with. Here's Bukele trolling Maxwell Frost by digging up this tweet from 2016. Fucking with my Kang, gun get you spilled, which presumably was put out as a joke. We don't know what the context was. But we do know the context would be, he would have been, I think, 19 then, because he's 28 now.
Right.
So he would have been about 19 then. So this is what they're digging up on him. Libs of TikTok. This is the Democratic Party. 4 elected Democrats in El Salvador campaigning for the release of an MS-13 foreign terrorist gang member and alleged wife beater. So this is one theme. You're going to see the 3 main strains they're going with.
Again, these are the mouth shitters. That is all they do. All
Yep.
they have to do for money. Yeah.
This is it. It's such an easy gig. That's
Yeah.
why I've always said we don't hear this too much anymore, because I think even people who hate us, we've proven our bona fides. But to call us a grifter, the real insult is you're calling us stupid.
Right.
You're saying we're too stupid to grift, because this is the way. If we were going to grift,
Right.
This is what we would do.
Of course.
We would go all in on this all day and all night. We would do MAGA outrage porn all day,
Right.
all day. Benny Johnson, Maryland Sheriff Jeffrey Gaylor confirms Kilmer Abrego Garcia is 1,000% an MS-13 terrorist, slams Democrats for protecting him. Quote, he is certainly tied to the MS-13 gang, known for severe violence, murders, drugs, officials taking vacations to El Salvador. Terrible. How does he know? He read the police report. That's how he knows.
Which everybody else read.
Yeah.
This image of Kilmer, the fact that his name's Kilmer is really something else. His fist with the MS-13 tattoos. Does this vibe with you? Have you seen?
Absolutely.
Have you seen these tattoos, Sheriff?
I've seen the tattoos. I've seen the pictures. I've seen the clothing. I've seen the reports of law enforcement and confidential informants stepping forward and confirming not only his place within the gang, but what some of the things that he is accused of doing in order to have the name that he had. I don't have those reports directly in front of me, but I've reviewed those reports as we've dug deeper into this issue and the visit to El Salvador again, and just how just tone deaf it is to go visit this individual in El Salvador. The talk that he was mistakenly deported. Well, he was deported by this administration, and as I understand it, that the immigration judge, 2 of them who heard the case, who also confirmed, both of them, that he was MS-13 member, agreed with his deportation, just not to El Salvador. And that's the big mistake that was made.
Okay. So even in the context of this piece, he's completely fucking wrong. That's not the mistake that was made. There was a hold on his deportation. The administration has admitted this. So this guy, this expert, he's telling you he knows he's an MS-13 because he read the same police report that's available to everybody else.
Right.
That's the special knowledge that he's claiming here.
Yeah.
So this is one tack they're taking, the most obvious, that he's MS-13.
That police report, sorry to cut you off, the same police report that led judges to determine that it was inconclusive and that it was granted a stay. Exactly.
Yes. Another tack they're taking is Hamas. You wouldn't have thought Hamas would get injected into this too. Laura Loomer. Incredible how Democrats will travel to El Salvador to demand the release of a member of MS-13, but they won't go to Gaza to demand Hamas release innocent American hostages. Democrats love criminals and terrorists. Speaks volumes, doesn't it? How much did Miriam give Laura?
Again, just right down the throat.
Yep. Ali London. One of these men is an American citizen kidnapped by Hamas and held hostage in Gaza for 559 days. The other is a migrant deported from the U.S. and imprisoned in El Salvador for being a suspected MS-13 gang member. Guess which one the Democrats are rallying to release? Actually, when Van Hollen, according to Van Hollen, when he asked the vice president of El Salvador why they were holding him, they said because they were being paid to.
Right.
They didn't say because he was suspected of being MS-13. In fact, according to Van Hollen, they conceded they didn't have any criminal record on this guy.
Yeah.
They're being paid to hold him.
This
guy, human trafficking.
Well, obviously, yes. And this guy is such an idiot. He even puts that he's suspected, which means it has not been proven. So he's saying we're holding a guy in a torture gulag based on a suspicion stemming from an accusation, not based on any knowledge.
Right.
Second,
with no due process, no pending trial.
You're really going to make the argument that the Democratic Party under Joe Biden, with the overwhelming support of the Democratic caucus, did not represent the interests of Israel in its quote-unquote effort to get the hostages back, even though they were offered the hostages back several times and made a point to sabotage every ceasefire deal that would have gotten the hostages back. Different conversation, I suppose. But what connects it to this is Democrats have backed Israel pretty much just the way Trump has. So you really can't say that they've abandoned the hostages, assuming you subscribe to the logic that Israel really wants the hostages back, which, of course, we don't. But within that context, even that's just a ridiculous point to make.
Well, Crazy Eyes Patel, before he got into the FBI directorship, said we don't prioritize Israel enough.
Exactly.
We're not prioritizing Israel enough. I thought he was gonna break up the deep state. What happened? Where are all these people going to jail? This is another tack they're taking, which is pretty fucking funny given recent events. Not a single Democrat flew to North Carolina when families' homes were destroyed by a hurricane, but they're traveling across the world to El Salvador. These Democrats should be expelled. Such a disgrace. You know, these people have the memories of garden snakes. Forgotten no more. Here's Donald Trump. He went to North Carolina. I will give him that. He went to North Carolina, and then he refused to extend their funding. Trump just denied North Carolina's request for FEMA relief from Hurricane Helene, calling it unwarranted. This is just last week. You want to start talking about how Democrats didn't go to North Carolina? Okay, he went to North Carolina. He used the people there as props and then turned down their request for an extension of FEMA relief.
Right.
That's I don't know that I'd want to bring up North Carolina right now, but they know who their audience is. They know their audience won't remember. It'll just go down the memory hole. So to put a button on it, Van Hollen summed up last week when he got back on Meet the Press what this is really about. And it is everything but what they want to talk about.
Donald Trump is trying to do is change the subject. Let's make no bones about that, right? This subject is that the Trump administration's ignoring a Supreme Court order 9-0 to facilitate his return because they admitted in court, the Trump administration, that he'd been wrongfully detained. Now, what I have said is Donald Trump and his administration need to put up or shut up in court. Instead of litigating this through social media, here's what the judge in the court case said, and I want to read it to be precise. On April 16th, she said that the Trump administration had presented no evidence linking Abrego Garcia to MS-13 or to any terrorist activity, end quote. So if you have evidence, take it to the court. That's where we litigate these things. And otherwise, just shut up on social media. And this is not about one man. If you deny the constitutional rights of one man, you threaten the constitutional rights for everybody.
That's it. That's it. And I'll also point out that hold on his deportation, that happened under Trump 1, and they didn't challenge it.
Right.
Didn't challenge it. If he was such a clear MS-13 member, they were not friendly to immigrants back then.
No.
Why didn't they challenge it if it was so obvious this guy was in MS-13? The judge said they've presented no evidence he's in MS-13, but yet they keep repeating this. They have just shifted this, as they always do, to the war of words, and they're just trying to make it untenable for Democrats to continue to fight for the constitutional rights of Abrego Garcia. And in so doing, they're threatening the rights of every person in this country. That is what it's about.
100%. 100%. And this is why, going back to their fight to get the new, a MAGA Pope seated. They like being dominated. They like living under totalitarianism. That's what it is. They enjoy it. The fact that the idea that these people value liberty and freedom it's a joke. It's an absolute joke. It's an absolute joke.
Please clap.